Okay, there we go. Okay, so Amar Rami, we're about one, two, three, four, five, six, 8 lines down from the top. Yeah. So Amar Rami Parchama. Rami Parchama said, "Yeah, we're all there. You hear me? Yeah. Okay." Amar Rami Parchama. So I said, "I'm agreeing with you. Somebody, meaning what our Mishnah is saying. We're going to see towards the bottom of number. What does it mean? What our Mishnah is saying. But 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 which part of the Mishnah it is. But the Mishnah is saying, So if you pick up a Metzia for your friend, so your friend is kaina. So the initial issue would be what you think is why not? Why can't I pick up a Metzia for my friend? So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, of course, you can go pick it up for your friend. The question is the the concept of a Kinyan Hagbah, right? Is that you can do it for somebody else, right? Um, yeah. So we'll see later exactly what this means. Right? The Isal Kadaita, like if you say that if you pick something up for your friend, then your friend's not kind. Why don't we say in this case of our Mishnah, when it's two people fighting, each one's picking it up. So why don't we say that if it's sitting on the ground, and the other half that the other guy has is sitting on the ground. Meaning, if you can't pick it up on behalf of your friend, so basically the item is sitting on the floor. Meaning, in order to do a kinyan hakbah, there's all different types of kinyanim. There's Masira, which we see on the base, to hand over, and then there's Meshicha, which means just to pull it, which doesn't mean means it doesn't have to go off the ground. But then you also have Hagba, which means to lift it. So what we're saying here is that you can lift it. It has to be lifted totally off the ground. So if you have the other guy lifting for you, so it must be that they're lifting for each other, and that's how we know that if you lift something on behalf of your friend, then it's considered a kinyan. Right? So the you can let me just read the whole thing again. These are the of like if you think your friend is not kind of why don't we say this as if the talus is sitting on the ground, and the other guys is sitting on the karka, and neither one of them is kind of. So it must be that if you pick up a mitzvah for your friend, so it's as if it's picked up, it's not on the ground. So Rava doesn't like this. We can say that if you lift it up for your friend is not kind of a taima. Here the reason is a different reason, because since he is zaycha in it for himself, meaning by the talus, they picked it up off the ground. Each one says it's theirs. So since he was zaycha on it for himself, so therefore he could also be zaycha for his friend. Hey, how do you know that such a concept works? Right? If you told your shliach, go out, a guy tells the shliach, go out and steal from me, and he steals, so potter, the mishaleach, right? The sender is potter. We know this because ain't shliach with varavera. You can make a guy into a shliach, but you can't make a guy a shliach to do an avera. He's not supposed to listen to you. If he did listen to you, then it's his own problem, right? So therefore, you can't. It doesn't work. But the shutrim shirgan uchayavin, partners that steal together, they're going to be chayiv, even though even though one of them is the actual one that took it. If they're both involved in the stealings, and then they're chayiv. My timer. Why is there a differentiation? Bottom line is, in both cases, one guy stole, one guy took the actual item. So if he was made a shliach, the shliach is chayiv, the mishaleach, the sender, is not chayiv. And how come by a shutfin, if they're partners? It's basically, this is your classic example how you structure the contract is going to make all the difference on who's chayiv. So my time, must be that the reason is because by a shutuf, by a partner, once he's being zeicha for himself, so he's zeicha for his friend too. Shmami no. So that's what we hear
Why
from
does
our
that get
Mishnah.
around the problem of does that get is the Gemara trying to avoid the problem of Tevus B'Achav Makashachav L'Achir? Would this get around that problem?
Um, why? Because
I'm saying in
what do you
general.
mean?
Normally we would say Tevus B'Achav Makashachav L'Achir. You can't be kind of.
Um,
Would Migu de Zachli and Ashi Zachli
take that
work?
out. I'm not sure.
because her not because anytime I want to be, I mean, because then you should say if Magvil Zia Chaver should be Kana Chaver in such a case. Every single
I hear what
Magvil
you
Matzila
right.
Chaver is Miga Zachli and Afshi. You're not being Zayich of your friend. You could be Zayich for your friend. Why is that?
Right. No,
Why
I
does it
hear what
have
you're
to be
saying.
that you're actually being Zayich in it? Why does it only work when you
Um,
actually are Zayich in it?
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, this that part, yeah, it's bothering me, but yeah, I don't have time to hack it now.
No, no, Haki,
Maybe
I'm
it's a
just trying to
regular daf
understand. Like,
card.
so
No, no,
therefore,
and
since I'm
Hanami.
Zayich in it, so is it because I'm Zayich in it that I'm able to be Zayich for him? Like, what does one have to do with the other?
Yeah, so we're going to see on the bottom of the Amud maybe a little bit of how it works between a Cheresh. Well, the next Gemara really, how it works with a Cheresh and a Pikeach. So let's see. So Amar Rav, Hashda da Amrit, or Hashda da Amri, the Bar says Hashda da Amri, that we say on Minan Migu. So now we say this Migu. So Akiva, this hopefully would answer the question, but I'm not sure. Cheresh, not this part, but the next part. Cheresh and Pikeach should be a Metzia. Let's say you have a deaf person and a Pikeach and a regular person that pick up a Metzia. So now a deaf person, which we learned. I don't know where we learned it, but I don't remember either way. So that a deaf person cannot be kind of with Hagbah, but we allow it in the Rabbanon because if we don't let them pick things up, so then the people are just going to take advantage of it. So if you have a cheresh and a pikeach, so a pikeach obviously could be kind of something. Pikeach just means it means literally means smart, but it means a regular person. And you have a cheresh, a deaf person. They both pick up a metzia. And mitaisha kana cheresh, kana pikeach. So since the cheresh is kind of the Pikeach is kind of right? Because that's what we're saying, because of the Migu. Since the Cheresh has a Dirabanan way of being kind of so then it will work for the Pikeach. So the Kasha is Bishlam Cheresh Kana. We understand the Cheresh is kind of because who's picking it up for him, the other half, the Kamagule Ben Das. A Ben Das. It's interesting, it changes from to a Ben. I guess it's explaining what a Pikeach is. Because the Cheresh, so his part works for the Rabbanan, and the other part is a ben das. I'll be careful, my corner. But how's the careful being coined? The deaf guy can't be the deaf guy can't be kind on his behalf. Ella ema cherish kana. So let's go the other way. It means no. It means that cherish is kind of. The kef is not kind of. Okay, so then my migu. What's the migu? Right? What's the meaning? Of course, he's the cherish picked it up, and the pikeh picked up the other half. Why do you need a migu? So our answer is migu the shnei charshin ba'alma kono. We're saying basically if two deaf people pick it up together, then they'll be koine. So hainami koni. So this one also works, right? So the Gemara asks, "And haimai, what's the case?" If you say like the first shot, who was it? Was Rami Bar Chama. If you go like Rami Bar Chama, that one, you pick up a mitzvah for his friend, your friend is kind of handing you where he picked it up on the dots of his friend. Here he's picking it up for himself. You look funny. If you're not kind of be able to be magnet for other people, right? How can that be, right? If the Bikeach what didn't have in mind to be kinded for the deaf person, so then how is he being kinded? Right? Again, if he's doing it for a favor, that's one thing, but he's not. They're fighting over it. Elohim, so let's say a different shot. Because like kana Bikeach, like kana cheresh. Now we say because the Bikeach wasn't kinded, the cheresh is not kinded. So Gemara says v'chitema ma'ishno mishnei charshin da'alma. So why if two deaf people could, I mean, we just said before the migu is that if two deaf people can be kind of for each other, so then a pikeach and a cheresh should. So now we're saying that a shalik a pikeach can't be kind of, right, and a cheresh can't be kind of. So then why is it different than the two charashim? Hasam tkinu l'rabbanon v'lo yasim l'tzuya. There, when you have the deaf people, like we mentioned, the reason why they were masakin that the kinyan works is because they come out and say the Kenyan works in the situation. The lawyers and when they shouldn't come fight us, and people meaning, I guess it is the same as we said before. Meaning, people are going to come fight them and say, "Hey, you guys think you picked it up? You guys are deaf. You're not kind of anything." They're going to come. It's going to cause all sorts of fights. But Hacha here is not going to be fights. Meimar Omar, he's going to say, "Pikeach lekani." The Pikeach wasn't kind of, so Ani Akmi. I'm going to be kind of. he's not going to fight with anybody that comes to take it from him because he sees that the Pikach is not koine. So if the Pikach is not koine, so then the deaf person's not going to come to fight. He's going to say, listen, we weren't koine for whatever reason, whatever technical reason it is, we weren't koine. Fine. So now here's the kasha. How do you see from our Mishnah? How do we see this concept from our Mishnah? The diuk of Rami Bar, who says that if you pick up a Metzia for your friend is koine. So let's see. The Gemara says, if you say it from the beginning of the Mishnah, which is Shnayim Otzim Batalis, two people holding on to a talis, Hasam Haikam or Kula Shaliba, no Agwa, say Kula. Each one is saying, I picked up the whole thing, and I own the whole thing, and I picked up the whole thing. V'hayam or Kula Shaliba, no Agwa, say Kula. This one says it's all mine, and I pick up the whole thing. So they're not picking it up on behalf of the other guy. If anything, they're going to say, "What do you mean? I'm not holding it for the other guy. How could you bring this araya from our Mishnah?" So that can't be. Elamahatu Katani must be from the next case in the Mishnah. Each one says it's theirs, right? So on Beis Lamed Aleph, the Gemara asks, "Why do you need to say that? Hasulamali. Why do you need to say additional Zera Kulashli?" Elam Mishnah Yisera, because the Mishnah has extra words. We learn out from this that you pick up a Metzia for your friend is koine. We already answered this on, what do we answer it? On the bottom of Beis Lamed Aleph, who said that the Mishnah Yisera is coming to tell us two different situations. One where they find the talus on the ground, and the other one is coming to say where each one of them paid money for an item, and each one's saying that they're the ones that bought it. So that's not extra. Okay, so let's keep moving down the Mishnah. Elamit Sefer. Let's learn out from the end of the Mishnah. If one guy says he has the whole talus, and the other one says he has half. What do you need that case for? From that added case, we learn out Rami Bar Choma's din. So the Gemara asks, we might in Metzia, who says that that's talking about a Metzia? Maybe it's talking about business. And if you're going to say either Mecca from Memka or my Lememra, if you're saying that it's by Mecca from Memka, what's the Chiddush? Right? We already learned about that splitting up Mecca from Memka. It's the, you need it. No, because you would think, see, now here's where we get into the psychology of it. I'm not sure how this goes. Because in one, first we're chayshid him, then we're not chayshid him. So let's see how it is. Because it says, we would have thought, maybe this guy's a wise guy. And he says, you know what? Instead of saying I own the whole talus, he says, I'm going to just say I own half the talus. And then lehevi kimeshav aveda, and then I'll be like somebody who's a meshav aveda, the lifter, and I'll be potter from a shvua, right? Because we know the din is that anybody that says I found something, and he says that this is what I found, and it ends up being half of what the owner says, you only giving me back half. We said there's no shvua, because if there's going to be a shvua, nobody's going to return anything. Because anytime they return something, the owner is going to say, what do you mean I had more there? And he makes a shvua. So the Chacham said no shvua. So this wise guy said, you know what, why should I say the whole talus is mine? I'll say half the talus is mine, then I won't have to swear. Right?
That's only if he's actually thinking of returning it. That doesn't work if he's playing a game.
Well, that's the question. Is this guy playing a game or not? Right? No, I would say I just yeah. Let's see the whole thing. Meaning, we're thinking that the reason why that the one that said half should be like a meshav because he could have lied and said the whole thing. Right? That's what we're thinking, and he's a tzaddik. The lifter and the mele should be part of a mashua. Kamash Malan. I explained that as the first part. That the first part is we think he's a regular, honest guy. He's a Meshav Aveda. He doesn't make a shvur. Kamash Malan, the Hayarume Kamarim. No, we're chayshid that he's making shenanigans. Right? Harama means he's fooling us. Savar I mean a kula shalid the inish. If I'm going to say the whole thing is mine, they're going to make me a shvur. So now I'm going to say this. He's a yeshiva bacher, right? He learns the sugi. So he says, let me do this way. I'll say half. The havi kameshav aveda the ifta. So here it is. We did a 180. First, we're saying, okay, he's a chatzi shali. You're an honest guy, and he shouldn't have to make a shvur, right? Because he's a meshav aveda. And then we said, no, he's not an honest guy. I'm saying those are the two options. Right? So it seems like the Gemara is saying we got to go to the second option. What?
Is this like the Elim Maintenance's question about the whole Indian Amigu? That I could have said a better time, so he's a liar. So how goofy? He's trying to be a liar. So why should we believe him?
Yeah, he's trying to be a liar.
But that
Well,
you could
that
ask him every
exactly.
single Migu.
100%.
So why
100%
only
I
over
can.
here does the Gemara have such an issue?
I don't know. I mamish don't know. It's mamish what's bothering me. I mean, it's amongst many things that I'm not understanding. I don't understand when we say every migu is a haram and where it's not. I don't know. Okay, so then we go elameha. So we go from the next case. How you shnayim right when Gabi behema. As we're going through all the cases of the Mishnah, two guys are riding on top of a behema. Hasul amali. What do we need that case for? Right, it's the same din. We're splitting the animal. Elami Mishnah say Shmami no haram yitzil l'chayra kana faveda. From the extra case, we say v'dilma hokamashum nami kane. No, maybe that's coming to teach us that a guy who rides an animal, that's a kinyan. Meaning, if you're buying an animal from somebody, the way you can be kind is by taking the ride on the animal. Elami seifa. It must be coming from the seifa. Bismansha you moedin. Right, the last line in the Mishnah, when they both agree to each other, right, meaning that they both agree that they picked it up at the same time. Or there are Adim to say the same thing, then Chalkim below Shur. So we said, what's the Chiddush? They're both agreeing that they picked it up at the same time, or there's Adim that say they picked it up at the same time, so they split it without a Shur. I mean, we can paskin that ourselves. We don't need a Mishnah to tell us that. So, but what's it talking about? Even by business, by buying Trichel Memer, do you need to say this? Right? It's Pashut. Ella la Metzia must be talking about a Metzia Shmamina. So by Metzia, it's telling us a chiddush that even though there was no hagba on the full item done by any one of them, still we have this rule that if you pick a Metzia up on behalf of your friend, so that works, right? Okay, so that's how Raman Bachama learns it from the last line in the Mishnah, which also answers up what the chiddush is of the last line in the Mishnah. But Rava Amar Loch, and Rava will tell you, Migu the Zachli Nafshe, Zachinami Lechavre. Rava says, is going to tell you that the mission is coming, that it also works. If it's coming to tell you something, it's coming to tell you that since they're Zeichin it for himself, he's Zeichin it for his friend. So Machlekes Amarayim, which one is what we learned out from our Mishnah? Right? Fine. So Yishnayim Reichin. So the Gemara goes off a little bit on the kinyonim of animals. So two guys riding on an animal, right? So we said, the Kulashali, they split it. So Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Li Rav Yehuda, Rav Yosef said that Rav Yehuda told him, Antom at Beis, Shamas Minei Demar Shmuel Tarti. I heard from Shmuel two things. Right? Now Rav Yehuda was a Talmud of Shmuel. This is not Rebbe Yehuda, the Tana, it's Rav Yehuda. So he said, I heard two things from Shmuel. Rachu Bumanig, if you have somebody who's riding an animal, and somebody who is pulling an animal. Right? Reicha means to ride, and Manig means to pull. Chad Kani, v'chad like Kani. I heard from Shmuel that he said one is a kinyan, one is not a kinyan. But lo yadayna heini now, and I have no idea who's who. Not who's who, meaning which one's Kani, which one's not Kani. If you don't know what's the case, if you say that it's just the guy riding an animal and it's just the guy pulling an animal, meaning, if a guy wants to kinda a animal, he rides it or he pulls it, right? So is there any havamina? Is anybody think that pulling an animal is not? It doesn't mean pulling, by the way. It means you're leading it. Is there anybody who holds it's not kinda? Where we're gonna say that he's not kinda. The one that you're gonna say is not kinda, it would have to be Rachav, right? So that can't be Yishayla. Ella Rachav the Makamanigi Boiler. His question is you have a guy riding on the animal, and you have a guy leading it. That was the Shayla, right? So my Rachav Adif is Rachav is riding it better than toughest, but he's holding on to it, right? If a guy's sitting on the animal, he's holding on to it. Or the guy leading it is better to Azal Mahmad say, because bottom line is the animal's moving because of him. So Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Nechzi Anan. So Rabbi Yosef says, Rabbi Yehuda told me, let's see, let's analyze it. The Tanan, Hamanig, so I think it's Rabbi, this is talking about Klein, right? You're not allowed to use different animals riding each other. Not each other, riding with each other to plow or anything. So let's say there's a guy riding on top of the animal, and there's a guy sitting in the wagon that the animal's pulling. So who's chayiv? So hamanik seifikas arabayim. The manig gets 40. Va'yoshib bekara and the seifikas arabayim. And the one sitting in the wagon is also getting 40. That's a Tanakama. The mayor Paiter is the Yoshib Bekara. The mayor says the guy sitting in the wagon is Pater. Right? And with the Apich Shmuel, the Tani Chacham Paiter is the Yoshib Bekara. So Shmuel switched it. He switched the opinions because if you go with our version, the Chachamim, we normally pass on like the Chachamim because they're the Rav. So they hold that both of them are Kaina. And the mayor says only the one riding the animal, well, not kaina, is Chaya Malchus, which means that he's kaina. So Rameir Pater is the guy sitting in the wagon, but Shmuel switched the shitas, which means that Shmuel's going to hold that he's going to hold like the first shita. I'm sorry, he's going to hold like the second shita was Pater is the Yoshib Bekara. So with the upper Shmuel, when Shmuel switched it, the Chachamim Paiter is the Yoshib Bekara, the Chachamim say that the guy sitting in the wagon is Pater. So we hear from this that Stama guy riding is not kaina. The Kol Shekain Rachav Makamani, and Kol Shekain the guy that's getting Rachav in the Makamani, right? Because again he switches the shitas, right? So therefore the Rachav is not kaina, and the Rachav Makamani is for sure not kaina. Yeah. So what do we see from this? Rabbi Yehuda is saying that Shmuel held that Reichiv is not a kinyan at all, but Manig is. I don't get this next line either. What the kasha is? Many times you told us the word Nechsi Let's see. And you never told it to us b'shem Rabbi Yehuda, and now you're saying Nechsi Anan b'shem Rabbi Yehuda. I'm saying I don't understand this question. So sometimes he said Nechsi Anan and he says it in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. And sometimes he says Nechsi Anan, he's saying from himself. Right? So I don't get it. But okay, Amar Lei, he says Ibra, it's true. And now I remember that I said to Rabbi Yehuda, how can you learn out riding from sitting? Right, Yoshev, meaning he was learning that the guy sitting on an animal is the same din as the guy sitting in the wagon, right? And now he's saying you can't do that. Yoshev, like tough as the Masira, a guy sitting in a wagon, he's just sitting there on a couch being pulled. Rachav, tough as the Masira, but a guy riding on the animal, he's holding on to the what do you call it? The Masiras, not the saddle, the reins. Rachamim would know, but he's holding on to the reins. He's holding on to something.
Bridle.
The bridle. Okay, whatever. I understand. I don't know what is the bridle. There's a thing that's on top of the. There's the thing on top of the. I don't know. I thought it's the rope. Either way, Rav Shmuel Damri Tavayu. He told me that Rav and Shmuel both say Masira like Kani, and Masira is not kaina. Right. So meaning he had a taina that there's a difference between a roichev and a guy sitting in the wagon because the roichev is holding on to Masira, and Rabbi Yehuda said back to him, both Rav and Shmuel say that a Masira is nothing. So therefore, he felt that you could compare a guy riding on an animal to a guy on an animal and a guy sitting in the wagon. Ikadamri, we have another version. Ikadamri, Amalei Abaylu Rabbi Yosef, Heichi Pashin Ma Racham Yosef. How can you learn out Racham Yosef? Yosef, like Tavis Masira, Rachav Tavis Masira. Amalei Hachitana Edi. This is what Edi said. Edi is the name of a person. Masira like Kane. The Masira is not Kane. Itmanami, Amarav Kalber, Amarav Huna, Masira Mechavere Kana, Masira is kind of from the friend. The Metzia, Ubenifse Hager, like Kana. The Metzia, Nefse Hager, were not Kana. Hold on 1 second, please. Sorry. So anyways, Itman, I'll go back one line. Itmanami, Amarav Kalber, Amarav Huna, Masira Mechavere Kana, Masira, meaning what do we call Masira again? The bridle. If you're being kinded from your friend, so then it works. Right? So that's an important point. There's a big difference between taking the If you're buying a horse and he hands you over the reins, then that's a good kinyan. But if you're going to try and be kainet, then it's not a good kinyan. My lashon mesira. What's the lashon of mesira? Amar Rava, Idi Asberali, Iri explained to me, Ka'adam Amaisa Dava L'Chavera. It's like somebody who hands something over to his friend. So it says, so we understand from his friend, he's kind of the kamasale chavre, because his friend is handing it over. It says a das. There's somebody handing him over. Who is giving it over to him that he should be claiming? Right. So therefore, we see from this that there's no opinion. So Metzia, so we have a kasha. There's two guys riding on a behemoth. Money. Hashta Yoshev Kani Racha Mibai. Now that Yoshev is kind as a Racha Mibai. You know what? If we got close enough to the end of the daf, I could stop it here. Not make everybody miss sugar.
Do you want to do time for tomorrow? Or you want to send that later?
What time tomorrow? What time you say it's Shkia?
I think it's 5:36 is lighting.
Look, mention it's 5:36. We can do about let's call it 4:40.
4:40. And much of Shabbos?
Let's say Shabbos. You still have Avos Abanim, David?
It's the last one.